Welcome back to Black Women Link Up, where we bring the real back to Black sisterhood. Today, we have our lovely mothers on this episode. Right next to us, we have Miss Mashonda Moxley. Mashonda Moxley is a dedicated wife, mother, and entrepreneur, has been a prominent figure in the beauty industry for over 3 decades. Her extensive experience has earned her several prestigious licenses, including advanced esthetician, I always mess up the word, certified lash technician, and licensed managing manicurist. Notably, she has also served as a court appointed special advocate for the Montgomery County court system, passionately advocating for neglected and observed children and abused children. In addition to her professional achievements, Mashonda holds the esteemed position of co-leader and director of operations at DMI Dayton, situated in Clayton, Ohio. As the wife of Pastor Bruce Moxley Jr., they are blessed with 7 children and 3 grandchildren. In her free time, Mashonda enjoys traveling, exploring other cultures, restaurants, and entertainment venues, which reflect her belief in living a well-balanced and Christ-honored life.
Period. We love Miss Mashonda. To my right is my momager, my mommy, my best friend, my everything. This is Evelyn Yarborough. So Evelyn Yarborough is a seasoned project administrator at Marker Incorporated, bringing over a decade of experience in the real estate and construction industry. Since 2014, she has played a key role in driving project efficiency and team coordination, but Evelyn's impact stretches far beyond the workplace. She is a passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, co-founding Marker's employee resource group, Strength and Unity, in response to the murder of George Floyd. Under her leadership, SIU has led initiatives including Juneteenth and Black History Month celebrations, community outreach, and inclusive policy reviews. She has further honed, wow, can I read? Her leadership through the Weld Pathway to Management program for women of color in the Columbus Chamber's Next Level DEIA cohort. Outside of her professional and advocacy work, Evelyn is deeply rooted in her faith. She serves as a diaconate leader and a member of the praise team, where she is looked to as a spiritual and organizational leader in her church community. In addition to her many roles, Evelyn is proudly the momager of a multifaceted creator, offering unwavering support and guidance as her child navigates the world of creativity and entrepreneurship. Whether in the boardroom, the sanctuary, or behind the scenes supporting talent, Evelyn leads with heart, purpose, and vision. That's our
Weird
mom.
hearing my child call me Evelyn, though. It's so weird. Thank you.
Yes, we love our moms. Period. Happy Mother's Day. Happy early Mother's Day.
Thank you.
So we're gonna get into our segments. First, we're gonna start off with hot topics, which, if you are not new, you already know that we talk about what is going on currently within Black culture. So I know we were talking about something with Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
His lawsuit. Okay, so I'm not completely well versed in the situation, but he recently had, I don't know if she's 19 or 20, but he recently had a woman try to sue him for, what was it? Like sexual assault. He recently tried to have a woman sue him for sexual assault, and there were a bunch of like text messages and like audio clippings of like super inappropriate stuff that was being said. But in his case, he had receipts of it being like an exchange, like what is it called? Like they both agreed to what they were doing at the time.
Consensual.
Yes, it was consensual what they had going on. Which also brought about a lot of backlash from Tracy Ellis Ross, who recently got online to say she doesn't date men in her age bracket for that same reason. A lot of these older men, a lot of seasoned men, have just been really like exposed lately, and it makes sense because that was like a clear example of like the type of stuff that they really be having going on behind closed doors. So,
What do y'all think about that?
Just because of his position, he's responsible. To whom much is given, much is required. And he is, 19 is an adult, right? Consensual. But he is still responsible for his actions And it's just, I feel like a lack of integrity, a lack of boundaries, a lack of self control. And it's not a good look. At his status, he should have been more responsible and more careful with his choices. So we'll see what comes of it.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I wasn't really paying too much attention to what was going on with this person. Shannon Sharp, I'm not a huge fan per se. But the little bit that I did read about certainly was a turnoff for me. And my thing is, at the end of the day, if you have any type of a conscience, you'll own up to whatever wrongdoing that you've done because you have to be held accountable. That's just the bottom line.
And it's always with these little, excuse my, it's always with these little white girls, with these black men. And y'all, they be knowing too, like, especially in the sports industry, because Shannon Sharp is in the sports industry. There is a clear stereotype of black men that date these white women, and then years down the line, it comes back to bite them. And that's exactly what happened. So you would think that they would learn, but, we could leave it there.
True.
And then it's also like, why are you messing with someone that much older of your age too, though? Like, it's on both sides for me. Like, I think if it's consensual on both sides, then what is the problem? Why is she, like, is this a publicity stunt or but I also think, like how my mom said, like, I think it's also on him more because he's older, he's more wiser. You would think he was more mature, but obviously he's not if he's messing with a 19-year-old. So yeah, I think that's weird. But I also think that our generation has like normalized that too, though, because they're after the older man's money, and so we kind of not we, but our generation has normalized that. But like, there's something spiritually, there's something wrong with that. Like, that's not okay. That's not cute, and you can tell that they're just going off of what's popular and going on right now in our generation. Yeah. What else is going on?
Cowboy Carter.
Yes. Beyonce had her first show in LA last night. My sister, shout out to Brooke, actually sent it to me on TikTok live. Somebody was like recording it on their live, and she had like 3 million people watching it. Wow. Yeah, and the concert looked packed too. But we were just talking about like how her daughters are like, I think that her daughters are going to like take over when she's retired. I know, I mean, obviously, like, they're getting ready, they're preparing, and I think it was something natural too. And I feel like she gave them an opportunity, like a choice. It doesn't give like it's forced. Like, they look like they're having fun. They actually want to do that. And I just always think that like once there's a queen, there's always an heir. And I think that's so beautiful that she's allowing them at a young age to follow in her footsteps.
Yes. I'm going to play devil's advocate though, because we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And Beyonce and Jay-Z had some backlash about them not really publicizing their youngest children. And there were some rumors that were going around saying how Rumi and I forget Sir must have had some, like, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but something like autism because of how they physically look. So the fact that the first day of the tour, Rumi was seen, I kind of looked at it like, okay, was this in response to the backlash that you've been getting? Because it was trending. It was trending for a while. So it just, I don't know. And Beyonce is a business person through and through. So that just made me think about that, because we never see Rumi ever on Instagram, like nowhere. If anything, it's like TMZ media outlets, stuff like that. But that made me think about that, because I was like, what a coincidence. So I just had to play devil's advocate.
Well, I saw the clip and I felt, first I was looking from a mother's perspective. But reading some of the comments that I've seen today, is like, I get why she doesn't show her children. People are so cruel. They are, some of the comments were just, uncalled for, like unacceptable. It was so cruel. And I saw a psychologist posted on TikTok, and she was basically saying, you know, you guys are uneducated and diagnosing this child, and she didn't see where she was on the perspective on the spectrum. She said she saw a child that was happy, and the fact that this was a black child who was like she was vibrating, like she was so happy to be on stage with her mom and with her sister, and how nobody questions it if it's a child that's not of color. But with her, people are just saying whatever and reckless with their comments, and they're cruel. So I kind of tend to agree with that. And then the other side of it for me was, over the years that I've seen Beyonce, what I was drawn to was her work ethic, and seeing her fall down the stairs and get right back up and sing. But when I saw her daughter grab and hug her, it just kind of, she wasn't Beyonce in that moment. She was a mom.
Yeah.
And she even stopped singing. So that spoke volumes to me, because mom comes first.
Right.
So I just enjoyed watching her be a mom.
And like y'all said, it's always going to be someone having something to say. Like, they didn't say that it looked like Blue was on the spectrum, but they also talked about her hair. They talked about just, they always going to have something to say. So, yeah. I think that, I think it's still beautiful that she's allowing them to do what they want. And it also seems like, from like the behind the scenes, like it just seemed like Blue like naturally liked doing it. Even like seeing her last movie that Beyonce had in the movies, like with her behind the scenes, like it really seemed like she was into it. So yeah,
Blue did her big one. She did her big one.
Yeah.
Compared to the last tour. So
I wasn't even aware that there was conversations surrounding their twins and this alleged sickness that they have. And I don't get on social media like that all the time, because I know for me, like, it would just drive me crazy just to keep scrolling and reading posts that people just put out there. But I think it's sad, especially for us as a people, right? Because we already have, you know, our white counterparts that will, you know, get any whatever chance that they have to speak negatively of us. And then here you have this beautiful Black queen that is celebrating her children, right? And even if there's something wrong with the twins, right, who are we to make any type of a comment? Let's celebrate with Beyonce, right? Because we've seen other celebrity parents out there that are not doing right by their children, and folk are still going to talk about them. But let's do our part and celebrate with Beyonce, because I mean, we've seen Blue, you know, as a little one, just right beside her mama doing her thing, and now she's growing up to be this beautiful young woman, naturally talented, naturally gifted. And now we see little Rumi, right? And she looked so ecstatic and just being on stage with her mom, and that was just mom to her. So all of this other negativity, chatter, go on somewhere with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other trending topics?
Speaking of, while we're on the topic of, you know, just being a mom, what do you guys think the pressures to be perfect are as a mom and a leader?
For me, there was never a sense of having, it wasn't pressure for me to be the perfect mom, because there is no such thing as being a perfect mom. You know, when I had my sunshine, I was 23 years old, right? An adult. And I did not know the full spectrum of what it means to be a perfect mom. So for me, in my mind, it was just about, you know, making sure that she was well taken care of, making sure that she was happy, making sure that she was healthy, making sure that she was enjoying her childhood, making sure that she was well educated. I didn't feel pressure by society or my mom and dad or my other siblings. I became mom, and I believe that It was something that was in me, always in me. I believe God just instilled it in me, and it became natural, just to be a loving mom to her. And that was it. No pressure, you know. I look at her today as an almost 28-year-old young woman, and I'm proud of her, of all of her accomplishments. I pray for her every morning. I thank God for her. And I'm going to give credit to her dad. She's a hustler. She has her 9 to 5, but Bree hustles. And I like her work ethic. I appreciate I appreciate her.
No, don't do
Stop.
Don't even do it.
It's too early in the
I
conversation.
do. This my baby girl.
Mhm.
This my baby girl. And I'm just thankful that God, instilled in me what I needed to give to her. And just watching her today as an independent young woman in this crazy, crazy world that we are living in, I thank God every day, because things could have turned out differently for her. I trust her. I trust her to always make good decisions. And we don't always get it right the first time, right? We may not even get it right the second time. But we get it right eventually. And I believe that what I've instilled in her, faith in God, trusting and believing that all things work together for good to those that love him and that it's called according to his purpose. I trust her. And I know that her circle of friends, I trust them, and I'm that mom that will just, I don't care how old you are. Girl, where you been last night? I was trying to call you. You did not pick up your phone, But I stay in her life like that. I'm going to be her mom until I take my last breath. So it doesn't matter that, I'm the age that I am and she's the age that she is. Yes, she's grown, but you're still my child.
She got my location and everything.
I have her location and
We don't
everything.
play
And
about that.
no shame in that. No shame in that. Like I said, we are living in some crazy, crazy times. And for me to just look the other way and just be like, oh, it's okay. No, I'm not doing that. I want to make sure that you are okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting
Me
that.
either, because I'm like, I'm okay. I'm about to cry. I didn't necessarily feel pressure, but I had to navigate being a mom. I had her at 25, and then, first of all, I was told by 3 separate doctors I couldn't have kids, and God said not so. And so I prayed, and we got some people in agreement with us, family members, friends in agreement with us. And so much so that when I had the first pregnancy test, I didn't believe it. So I went back and bought 10 more. And was drinking water so I could keep taking these pregnancy tests. And it was like, how many positives do you need to get? You are pregnant. And so I promised God that if he gave me children, that I would give them back to him, which is exactly what I did. But and he blessed me with 4 girls, and 2 boys that I didn't birth because I love them dearly. But my girls, as they begin to get like around that teenage stage, the tough years, it was tough because I didn't realize they all have 4 separate personalities, and sometimes I'm like they're a little bit like me, and some of them are not. And I struggled with that because it's like, where'd you get that from? I was never like that. I didn't make these choices, but now I'm learning to respect them in adulthood because I parented throughout those years and even recent years from fear until God says stop.
Okay.
Wow.
Because he has eyes on them when I don't. And he can take better care of them when I can't. And so they're my best friends. We have ups and downs, and it breaks my heart because they're the best thing that ever happened to me.
Sure.
And so when I see things in their lives that don't look like they even remotely know God, I get concerned, but then I'm remembered of his promises. And I remember what I instilled in them, and I trust their decision making because it's their life, not mine. And so now our roles are evolving, and I'm always gonna be their mom, like you said, but I'm their friend. I'm a resource. Um, and so when they call and ask me things, sometimes I'm like, oh God, I don't even know if I want to talk about that. But I'm a friend. That's what friends do. We talk about that, even the tough conversations. And I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful for my girls. And like you said, and Bree, I'm so grateful for you. I have had challenges in friendships, and I never wanted my girls to go through that. So I've continually prayed for their friends. Mm-hmm. I've prayed for their husbands that they don't have yet. But you have been incredible, and I'm so grateful for you. I pray for y'all friendship, that there is no division, that there is no, like, this whole group that y'all have is just, whenever she's like, oh, I'm at Breeze for the night, good night, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll call you tomorrow. And I rest peacefully because I know it's safe. I know y'all got each other. And I'm just so grateful for this, and just enjoying watching her become a woman.
Absolutely. I love that because I know for me, growing up, and times are so different, right? But for me growing up, I could not talk to my mom the way Bree talks to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful, and I think I've instilled this in her. I've always said to her over and over again, even especially in her teenage years, you can come to me and talk to me about anything, right? Yeah. And it may be easier said than done, but I wanted her to recognize that. I wanted her to feel that. I didn't want it to just be words coming out of my mouth, right? I couldn't do that with my mom. And no disrespect to her, because that generation, they're different. Yeah. There's just certain things that you will not go to mom and dad about. You would just keep it to yourself. Yep. Or if you had a BFF back then, you two will talk it out and try to work things out. But I wanted her to know that no matter how difficult or even uncomfortable that conversation is going to be, I have your back at the end of the day. Now, I will say this. I told Bree, and I've said this to her, I am not your friend. I'm your mom. Absolutely. But I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to be honest with you. And even if I say something that you don't like, that's okay, because I'm going to be honest with you, But I wanted her to have that easiness in her. I wanted her to really recognize that my mom trusts me. So I can have those difficult conversations, whether it be about relationships with dudes, work stuff, whatever that may be. I wanted her to know that she can come to me. And I meant it, because I could only imagine when I look back over the years of my teenage years, man. So I'm glad I have it like that with her, and she has it like that with me, because like I said, I mean, just waking up every morning and watching the news and seeing what's going on around us, I'm like, I need to know that my baby girl is okay. I want her to know that she can come to me for whatever. And it's not going to be one of those, I don't have time for you right now because you are important to me. Right. I want to make sure that you're okay, that you're safe, So I'm thankful. I'm thankful the relationship that she and I have as mother and daughter. I am.
And I will say something. It's not everybody has a mom like that who's like, oh, you can talk to me, or you can be like my friend, or like talk to me like a friend, but I'm still your mom. Like, a lot of people don't have that as their mom. And then I will say that, like, me and my mom didn't start off like that, but I know we've grown into that. And I'm just thankful to God. I'm not gonna.
It's okay.
I never cry in the videos.
Oh, you on we're crybabies over here.
It's okay.
Because I never had that. Like, even though my mom said I could talk to her, I just didn't, like, I just felt like just like how we used to be. We just weren't like that. And so I'm just really grateful that I could talk to my mom like that now. It wasn't like that always, and I just know that, like, God answers prayers, and I know me and my mom have have prayed about our relationship. And I'm just glad that we can have that. So, like, if you don't, I'm speaking to the camera. If you don't have a relationship like that with your mom, like, pray. If you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ, like, pray, because He always answers it. I didn't think we would ever be this close, ever. So,
Yay.
Can I address the question again about the pressure? I said I didn't, but as she was talking, I thought about it. And I think I did because of our position in the kingdom and our position in a church. Because I grew up in a church where my pastor's daughter got pregnant and she was utterly annihilated by the saints.
Wow.
And so I saw that. And then once I had 4 daughters, it was like, I need to make sure that that doesn't happen, or that they're living to what I guess the church accepts, not allowing them to be themselves. And after a while, it was like, for me, them getting pregnant is the least of my concerns. And then I got defensive of them because it was like, whatever, they're children, they're young adults just like yours are. And I refuse to allow any undue, unnecessary pressure to be on them as they are trying to navigate life just like we all had to.
Sure.
And so once I got that revelation, and it was like, I don't care what people think. And I'm at a I don't care level that I don't even think can be measured at this point. And so I think that's what changed my perception of them and our relationship. It's like no pressure. Like, you party and I partied too. Party, like, in fact, when I came up here to spend the weekend last week, I was like, we're going to the club? Where are we going? Which club are we going to? And I'm like, I don't want to go to the club, but if that's what my daughter like to have fun and hang out at, I'm going to go. But we was tired, so we went to bed. But I was like, it's whatever. It's whatever. At the end of the day, at the end of this position, whatever, I'm still going to be their mom. And that is my first and foremost priority and my only concern.
Absolutely.
People going to talk.
Of course.
Anyway. So.
Of course. It's interesting that you talk about the church because, when I had Bree, I wasn't married. So I had her out of wedlock, but I was born and raised in the church. And I made the decision to keep going, regardless of who was saying what behind my back or in my face. It did not matter to me because when I talked to my God, He and we had an understanding, and that was fine with me. That was okay. So for me at that moment, it was just about being a good mother to her, right? And instilling in her, planting seeds in her, so that way she too, when she gets older and she grows up and she understands the way of this world, that she'll make good decisions, accepting Christ for herself, doing things for herself in the way that the word tells us to. I wasn't going to be that religious mom. That irks me to my core. That irks me to my core, because we know that there's a big difference between being religious and being spiritual. And I did not want to be that parent, because for me, it would have been I didn't want to seem as a hypocrite. I wanted it to be natural. Absolutely. And for me, it was more important for her to have her own relationship with God, to get to know Him for herself, not just me telling you, Bree, you need to do this, Bree, you need to do that. But I wanted her to be able to see things for herself, be able to call on God for herself. Yes, I'll say, Bree, am I going to see you in the building on Sunday morning? That's not going to stop either. FYI. I'm putting that out there, But it was one of those things that for me as a mom, I'm going to do my part. And there was no shame. There was no, what are people saying about me? That did not matter, because me and God already had an understanding. Absolutely. He loved me just as much then, so why would I feel any differently? Absolutely. And I did not feel any shame, being a mom that's not married and doing things a traditional way. That was all right. That was all right. And thank God, yes, I'm married today to a wonderful man. You know, he has two, so I have two stepchildren, a daughter and a son, a stepdaughter and a stepson. I love them just the same. And, you know, when I think back and I look at my teenage years, my young adult years, if there's anything that I would, you know, do differently, I don't know that there is a thing or two, but I know that my past, you know, my growing pains, my trials, my tribulations, everything that I've experienced, you know, in life was for a reason. And I'm blessed today. I'm thankful to God today for my family. I'm thankful that I am a mom to this amazing, amazing young woman, you know, and to my stepchildren as well. And I wouldn't change a thing.
I think that's one of the things that I appreciate you so much for, because I know, like, when you guys were younger, grandma, it was like a routine thing to go to church, you know, Bible study, what have you. And the fact that I didn't receive that pressure, I received more so, and still receive to this day, encouragement. Like, I haven't been baptized in my teenage adult year. I've never been baptized. I was christened, but there was never like you need to get baptized because of X, Y, and Z. That's a decision that I'm making for myself, and I think I appreciate you so much for that, because, again, you were born and raised in the church. You are a person of the church. You're a leader in the church. So I appreciate that aspect. And I think, to go back to, I don't want to cut y'all off, but to go back to the conversation about like how our connection got so strong, because I feel like I had it all figured out on my own. And like, even in my teenage years, we would talk, but it wasn't to the extent that it could have been, per se, when it came to like stuff I was going through or like stuff like that. And I think it wasn't until I moved out on my own for the first time. I was in a rush to get out the house. I wanted to leave so bad. I wanted to be on my own. I think I moved out. I was, after graduation.
A year later.
It was a year later I moved out. I was gone. I was ready. I was ready to leave. Because, again, like, your last year of college, you have an apartment. You're getting used to that lifestyle. So I was like, okay, like, I could do it. And then that's when the bill started coming. And I had to, you know, choose between, okay, am I going to get groceries? Am I going to pay my electric bill? Like, what's going on? How do I navigate this? And then that's when we started getting closer, because it's little stuff, even from like doctor's appointments. And I'm like, how do I do this? Like, this is happening. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call. And she was just always there. And from then it was just this open book that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah.
So for our next segment, we're going to do our sound check segment, where we talk about our favorite song right now. Want to go first, Mom?
So I can't remember the psalmist, but it's called Wow. It's a worship song. But I think it came on like one of the radio stations that I was listening to that's curated. Like, if you pick the artist, and then it plays songs, and it came on, and it literally stopped me in my tracks, because she's describing God and how he's just wow, and that's how I feel about him. So yeah, I'll have to look up the author, because I can't. I mean, the psalmist, because I can't remember her name.
I need to look at my song.
I sent it to you too.
Is it this one? Not this one?
No, it's wow.
Oh, okay. Well, my current favorite song right now is Lace Up Your Boots, and it's popular on TikTok. I think somebody else said that in the last episode, did they? Yeah. Anyway, that has been getting me through this past month, because I've been going through a lot this past month, and every time I hear that song, I cry. And I feel like when I'm listening to worship music and I'm crying, I just feel crying out to God. I feel like it's just, I don't know, it makes me feel better afterwards. So, but yeah.
This is funny for me, because I've had the same song the last 3 times, but it's different. It's different. I promise it's different. Surprise. Promise it's different. My song is is, I don't know if it's called I Smile or Smile by Kirk Franklin, but that is a song that I've recently been using to wake me up. It's no longer Eyes Open. And it's just a reminder that, like, no matter what you're going through, I'm smiling because I am blessed. And, you know, I'm the type of person, I'm an empath. So, like, I take on a lot of people's, you know, what they're going through on my own. And it can be really heavy sometimes. But I am just content every morning with knowing that I woke up this morning and that I'm able to be a resource to somebody, whether that's a phone call or, you know, a laugh or anything like that. So, yeah, that's my song.
Well, actually, this song came to me actually Sunday afternoon when we got home from our church service. So we had a guest preacher on Sunday because our bishop was out of town, and he just preached a phenomenal word. And, you know, these past couple of months, I've been dealing with some health challenges. And it just seemed as though, like, the Holy Spirit just dropped this song in my spirit. And I believe it's just a chorus, and I don't know who sings it, but the words are, "Your grace and mercy has brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to thank you and praise you too. Your grace and mercy has brought me through." And those words just stay with me all week long because I believe it's been his grace and his mercy that regardless of what challenges that I've been faced with these past couple of months, yes, there's been some difficult times for me, but it's his grace. It's by his mercy, his loving kindness towards me that continues to bring me through. And I'm thankful for that.
You should sing it.
Put her on the spot.
Are y'all serious right now?
Better.
I'm gonna need some tissue.
Ladies and gentlemen, Evelyn Yarborough. Mic check. Make sure that mic on.
Your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to thank you and praise you too. Your grace and mercy has brought me through.
That's my mama, y'all. That's my mama.
So you guys are both in ministry. You women are both in ministry. You're a deacon and also on the praise and worship team at your church. And my mom is a pastor. So can you guys just give enlightenment or just talk about? You could talk to anyone who would want to be a woman in ministry, like the good, the bad, how to navigate through it.
It's tough sometimes, because I'm actually a co-pastor, so your dad's the pastor. But we serve together in that pastoral capacity because typically, I believe it's something like 80% of the American church, African American church, is like women. So of course, you know, I pastor them. I mean, some of them they want to hear directly from him, but it's a struggle sometimes with men because a lot of men are of the mindset that women should not teach men or that women should not be in the pulpit, which the scripture is taken completely out of context, but you know, some people like to think like that. And so it's a challenge sometimes, and I can discern that spirit a mile away, and I just don't tolerate it. If they'll ask me something and they say, "Well, I just asked Pastor." You're talking to Pastor. And aside from that, which I say, clock it. Aside from that, I am also in my new position as director of operations. So I'm overseeing the operations of the ministry. So again, the road leads back to me. So, and then sometimes it just depends on who it is. I just defer them to him anyway. But we are in agreement on how things are run and how they should go, and we consult with each other. Of course, I submit to, he is the over shepherd, and I submit to that. But in terms of it being challenging as a woman, for me, that will be my only challenge to note right now. I can't think of anything else that concerns me in that capacity, but yeah.
Well, for me personally, I would have to say that, it's certainly been a blessing, when you're called to ministry. I've been singing for so long, and I enjoy being a part of the worship team at my church. And I appreciate the conversations that we're able to have, when we have our weekly rehearsals. And, you'll hear some folks talk about some challenges that they may have had, or just share a testimony, a praise report. And for me, it's about having, the heart of Christ. So it does not matter what your position is, in my opinion.
Yes.
Whatever your ranking is in the church, in my opinion, that to me is irrelevant. I believe when it is all said and done, you have to have the heart of Christ.
Absolutely.
Jesus is the perfect example.
Yeah.
Having that humility, being humble in your serving. Sometimes we tend to get caught up in our own worlds because we're going through what can be, oh my gosh, this is like going to be the end of the world. And then you receive a phone call from one of your members, and they're asking you to pray because their son didn't come home last night,
Yeah.
or, their spouse is in the hospital, so then you have to kind of sit down and just kind of reflect and say, God, I thank you. It could have been me, right? It could have been a family member, but now I'm in a position where I can pour back into that person and be of good encouragement, share a prayer, share a scripture, something. So for me, it's just about having that heart of Christ. If you don't have it, what's the point? So I appreciate being on the team. I enjoy singing. I'm a worshiper. I may not have the best voice on the team. That's going to be a debate for another time, but that's irrelevant. For me, it's just about, being able to pour back into others. That's what satisfies me. Everything else is just everything else.
What is that like when you're going through your own whatevers, and you're still expected to still be a leader and to encourage others, even when sometimes you can't even encourage yourself?
That's a great question, Brie. My goodness.
This is for anybody too.
I have to say, and I can give you a really, really good example. I remember when we first, Lord have mercy, I'm going to get emotional. I remember when we moved out here, left New York. We moved to Columbus, Ohio. I bought my first house, registered my daughter to a new school. She had to make new friends. And things were seemingly well at the time. And then all of a sudden, it just felt like one thing after another that was just not going well for me, for us at the time. And I did my very best to not allow Bree to see me boo-hoo, looking stressed or overwhelmed. I knew I had to keep going, and I was determined not to move back to New York. I was not going back to New York. And I had to have a conversation with God and said, Lord, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why you allowed me to relocate here. And although things don't seem bright right now, I know you still have a plan for my life, for my child's life. I need you right now. I need you right now. My faith never left me. I believe that God reignited my faith for me to be able to keep one foot in front of the other, to be able to wake up every morning, to get her ready for school, to be able to do what I had to do to keep us going, because there was no turning back. So I think for me, when I'm going through some difficulties that I may or may not want to share with, members of my church, or family, at the end of the day, God's got me. And I can just go into a room and just be quiet and hear from God and hear from the Holy Spirit and ask for guidance, ask for wisdom, ask for clarity, and he gives it to me. So I was never, ever, ever in a place of this is not going to work out. So anytime I'm faced with a challenge, whether it's something, if I'm going through something physically, emotionally, mentally, for me, if I can't talk to someone, I can talk to God. Absolutely. And that's just how it is for me.
Same. Throughout the years, it has been a lot of challenges. And I always tell people that I have to make it in just like you. I'm not the answer, but I can point you to the answer. And I had to learn that early on in ministry that I'm not their God. I don't have that. I'm not the source. Like, I can just tell you what I do. I can model what I'm supposed to do, and I stay in prayer. I stay on the altar. And there are times when the congregation sees me crying the ugly cry, because it is like, I don't care about that. All I know is that God is my answer, the only answer for me. And I've lived long enough and come through enough challenges to know that all the other things that we try don't work. It's a waste of time. It is smoke and mirrors. And so whenever I talk to people, namely women, I tell them they have to go to God, because I may not be available. If I'm not available, or you call in the middle of the night, then it's messed up. But he don't sleep. Right. His eye don't shut at all, ever. And so I'm constantly referring back to him. In fact, I had a situation where this was, again, that same panel that I was invited on, and I was talking about God, which the person who invited me never told me that we couldn't talk about God. But, afterwards I said to her, that's all I have. I got nothing else. That's what got me through. That's where I am now. And so if you don't want to hear God, I got God for you. That's all I got.
And I think for me, it's so important that, the people that's in my circle, there's a reason why I'm picky and choosy. There's a reason why I'm a private person. Not everyone has access to my life, and there's a reason for that. So the ones that do have access, sometimes I can't pray for myself, and God knows that, and he's okay with that, because if I'm in my bed because I'm sick or I've just experienced something and I cannot pray for myself, I believe the ones that are in my circle, they know this already. So they're going to pray for me. And I believe that, and I'm good with that. So I don't show up to church, with this perfect badge, like I have it going on all the time, We're just vessels.
Absolutely.
We go through the same things that any and everyone around us goes through, right? But I think the difference is when we know we have faith in God, when we have that relationship, we can call on him any time of the day, right? And he'll answer us and he'll hear us. So for me, it's just about having that core group in my world, in my circle. So it's like when I'm having those challenges, I can't pray for myself, when I can't say, God, I need you. The ones that they're experiencing my pain for me, they can call on God on my behalf.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
So now we have our fit check for our last segment, and we're just going to talk about where we got our outfits from.
Oh. Okay. This is Zara. Sorry. Zara and Amazon. Good old Amazon.
I got this from Zara too. We're twins. And then I got my jeans from Forever 21. Rest in peace.
I like that top, girl.
Thank you.
My top is from H&M, And then my pants, these are really old. I don't know where they're from. They might have been from H&M though. But yeah.
Okay, this blazer came from New York and Company, and I could not tell you where I got this.
Why did you make He said,
I don't know where I got this the jumper from, but the blazer came from New York and Company.
She loved Express, New York and
Love it.
Company.
Listen.
Zara.
That's our generation.
Yeah.
Is New York and Company still open?
Say again?
Is it still open?
Online
Company?
only.
Okay.
Online only.
If you both could go back and tell your younger selves a piece of advice, what would it be?
Girl, relax. It's okay. Like, that's how you figure it out. You're going to learn, you're going to make some mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. And it's okay to be yourself. Like, and sometimes I still struggle with that because I've been told I don't look like whatever. I don't know what I'm supposed to look like, but I look like Mashonda. I don't know what that usually means, but it took me a while to like me, and so I like me. It took me 50 plus years to like me, and now I like me, and because I like God in me, and I had to learn that He has told us that we're made in His image, and if I'm made in His image, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay. So I would tell her to just relax. It's going to be okay. And your people are your people. Everybody does not connect with you organically, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But those that do, it's on.
That's good.
Your bomb, Miss Mashonda.
Yeah. I believe for me, I would have to say to my younger self, give yourself a little more grace, because I had a lot of insecurities growing up. I was the skinny little girl, just quiet and shy, and I did things out of ritual. I did things that mom and dad wanted me to do, i.e., go to Sunday school in the morning, right? Go back to church Sunday evening, go to Bible study on Wednesday. I did the rituals, right? But I didn't have a relationship with God. So I was doing all of these things because that's what I was raised to do. But it wasn't until I had a true relationship with God. And I have to tell you, that didn't come until so many years later. Yeah. And in having that relationship, I had clarity. I had purpose. There was understanding. I'm like, okay, I get this now. Back then, I didn't have those things. I didn't understand certain things because I was just doing things because of, it was a routine. Yeah. And it kind of sucks, right? Because I feel like I've missed out on a lot, but I'm so thankful and grateful today. So for me, it would just be about just give myself a little bit more grace, and it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
It is. Mm-hmm. It really is. And that's such good news. And it feels so good. And it's so freeing. Because I was having that conversation with my husband on the way here. The Bible says none comes unless the Spirit draws. And we are containers of the Holy Spirit. And so being a container of the Holy Spirit, we have to be authentic. Because people are coming from out there and they know the real from the fake. Yeah. And then when we come into a lot of our churches and it's performative, or it's a lot of times what we have seen done with no power, people are like, I can get this out in the world. Yeah. And we're supposed to be set apart. Right. And different. He said peculiar. And I am in such a freedom now that I enjoy being my authentic self. And I see that in you too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sis. Appreciate that.
I didn't think we could top our last couple episodes, but this did it for me. This is so it just keeps getting better, and I'm just so grateful that you guys came. I felt it in my spirit that this is going to be such a monumental episode because you see us, but you don't see our village, right? So this is really great. I'm grateful for for you both, Miss Mashonda and Mom. And yes, this was awesome.
So grateful. So thank you guys for tuning in into this episode. I am Bree.
I'm Bree.
And
this-
wait,
Did you just say I'm Bree?
why did I say Bree? sorry. Let me do that again. Thank you for tuning in to this Mother's Day episode. I am Breeze.
I'm Bree.
And this is Black Women Link Up.